Me again? Well, I know it's been a minute since I did my first video with this wonderful thing that I purchased a while back now. I alluded that I was going to do a lot of things to it, and I had all these grand plans and so forth. Well, as you can see, some of those things has happened, but not all the things I had wished and hoped. Let me explain why. So I've been wanting this car since, I guess, late 90s, right? Because every farm boy in Australia was driving one of these, and I went to the university in the country, so to speak, and all my friends then had one of these, and I was super jealous because it's not one of those cars you buy in the city. I always knew I wanted this for a reason, and that reason was to really try to explore Australia. Not a camper, never camped, ever, maybe once or twice. And the first time I got a bit of a bug is when after COVID, you know, we all went a bit cuckoo. I got into my Hilux, packed an esky of food, sort of a sleeping bag, my dog, and we drove around Australia. Well, 75% of it anyway. Severely underprepared, but it's super fun. And that was when I really got the bug, and I was like, okay, this is a time if you want to get a 70 series, the new Hilux engine, you know, 2.8 came out, automatic, no brainer, get it. Put the order in, got my hands on it 2 years later. And then I was like, obviously during that waiting time, you do a lot of research on YouTube, and I was looking at all the great masters of overlanding, you know, the Andrew St. Pierre White, all the electricians like Heine over there, like Klarman Electrics over at Perth. A lot of good folks are in Perth and in Brisbane, by the way. And I learned a lot. The thing is, more I learned, more I watched, the more it was sucked me into having this idea that what I want this thing to be. And we all know, if you're watching this, things ain't cheap in this industry, right? So I decided to go through the planning and all that, so forth. I actually contracted Andrew St. Pierre White and Heine on the build, right? They were going to give me a turnkey solution. We started with the conversations in terms of what I want to do with it. The guys were just lovely. They really walk you through it, and they talk me through it, allow me to understand a bit more. But it didn't quite happen like I had planned, because once we designed the whole, let's call it the architecture, obviously the build sheet came out with its price, you know, I was a bit knocked back by it because it was quite costly. Times being the way it is, I simply don't have that kind of money sitting in a bank account ready to splurge on this hobby or this thing. I said, guys, thank you for the design. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to pull the trigger on the turnkey build. And I was like, okay, you know what, settle pedal, take a chill pill, make like a river, go with the flow, and just marinate into this whole reality, all right? Just got your car, drive around, enjoy it, and do a bit more research and thinking on what this whole thing is. And it got me thinking, you know, the onset of the electric cars that's coming out of China, the amount of, you know, vehicles that they're building for next to nothing amount of money. So I was like, okay, well, don't rush into what you're gonna put into here yet, because for the price of 3 utes, you better make sure you bloody love it. No different to buying a house. You wanna make sure you check out the neighborhood. $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, dare I say it, stretch the limit up to $50,000. You can be almost, you know, say that with a grain of salt, a little bit more impulsive, right? But when you're doing the price of 3 utes, nah, not gonna do that. For you good folks who's done overlanding, who knows what you want, you've been doing it for a decade, this is what it is, turnkey, 200 grand, get it done, go for gold. But if you're like me, who loves the idea, who maybe camps a little, never owned a vehicle before such as this, and you want to go turnkey, think about it. It's a lot of money for anyone. And I don't care if you're a millionaire so far, it's still a lot of money for you. Maybe not the billionaires, but maybe when's the last time you saw a billionaire overlanding? So I thought, okay, well, what are some of the things that's important for me? The cockpit's important. So how am I going to enrich my experience in the cockpit? You guys understand this is a basic biscuit tin, right? They really cut corners on a lot of the things. I mean, like, you're getting trims that are like just simply not even finished. So I thought, okay, well, the important thing is I'm gonna start improve the interior from my driving standpoint. So Naturally, I'm gonna do the seats first, right? Well, I haven't done them yet, but that's my idea. You can see I've already put some different mats at the front. I got these from Matayma. As I go through this build, I'm gonna stick to Australian brands, right? Because we're in Australia, this is iconic Australian, and I need to support Australian companies. The infotainment, if you can call it that, it's not really advanced. You're only gonna get Apple CarPlay through a USB, the old-fashioned ones, you know, the square rectangular ones. So I'm gonna upgrade that. I'm gonna upgrade the steering wheel so it just feels nicer. Not necessary, but yeah, why not? Added one of these things, I think everybody who drives one of these knows, is sort of almost iconic to this vehicle. This is a Stone Armrest. This is an Australian company. I must say, guys, this is probably the first bit of money I urge all of you LandCruiser owners to invest in. So getting back to the vehicle, I originally wanted everything. I wanted a hot water system. I wanted the 12-volt battery system, the drawers, the shelving, the ovens, the fridges, all bolted down, let's call it that. I thought, you know what, why splurge all that money in that at this stage? Don't do it. One thing's for certain, I always knew I must have on this vehicle, and it's that thing that I have erected for you all. I went with Headspace Campers. Why I chose that wasn't because, oh, everyone's getting one of these now because they're super popular, that's what we went for. No! This product was almost brand spanking new. That was, you know, not, it just came to the market. Oliver at Headspace Campers just designed it because he normally does the Defenders. Right? He never did for this car. I found him at the time when he was just starting to do this. And I called him up, I go, Ollie, you got a good looking conversion there. He goes, mate, thank you. You know, I love the energy. He's such a lovely guy. You can talk. And I remember the way he says, he goes, so good. I'm getting so much positive energy from the community. And I was like, mate, it's because you built a beautiful product. You put this product next to the alley cabs or what have you, it makes them look like an ugly duckling. It's engineered by him in Clontarf, Queensland, built by the boys in the shed. What more Australian can you get than that? And once you look inside of it, the entire space, what you're gonna get is just amazing. It's like a cathedral. And I'm 6'2", guys, right? This thing gives me so much headroom compared to the other options as well. It's a great Australian company. Look them up. Trust me, you're gonna want one of these. If you're gonna be out and about, you're gonna be portable, you're gonna be mobile, well, you're gonna do portable things at the back, and it's gonna be much, much cheaper. So yes, I bought a fridge. I bought a fridge from EvaCool, 95 litre. I might have gone a little bit bigger on that one, but that's okay. That's the freedom of it, is that I've just got a fridge in there and I can pick and choose, and if it doesn't suit me, I'll sell it, I'll buy a smaller one. I'm gonna redo the seats. I'm gonna sound deadening the thing myself, right? That's how you save money. And by the way, guys, it's not expensive. Go buy sound deadening, just go on eBay. Right? There's plenty of them there. It's the same product. In fact, you probably get a better product than the usual suspects that you buy for a premium. In my research, there's quite a few retailers who are in this space. They're not really doing anything more than the Temu and the AliExpress sellers out there. I bought a few things from these companies that I later found much cheaper, like by about, I think, 30, 40%, if not 50% off what they were charging me. And I thought, there must be something different about it. And then looking at it and then doing some research, it's exactly the same thing. So maybe on that situation, don't buy locally and just go to AliExpress. And in fact, I bought the head unit with the Apple AirPlay, Android, all that sort of stuff from AliExpress, and I'm going to be trying to install that myself. Prior to this thing, the most handy thing I've done is change a light bulb, right? And then I still feel satisfied. I go, whoa. I've already done a few little vanity things, right? That were fun. Like you can see from those King eyes that instead of the orange lighting indicators, I've gone full blacked out. It definitely changes the different presence of the vehicle. It just makes it look stealthy. And at the back, I've also changed the tail lights. I mean, you can get these things from AliExpress pretty easily, but I've done all that myself. And these things I bought from a local company. It didn't even come with installation instructions. Most times it's quite intuitive. But any of you guys who are changing this and are looking at this video and you're looking for installation instructions, come to me. I will tell you how this is done. Putting the rubber grommet into the hole, super hard. Why? Because the rubber that's supplied with these things are super tough. And if you compare them versus what you take out from the Toyota supplied, the Toyota rubber is so much more supple, right? Whereas the one supplied with this unit, it's just hard rubber. That's very hard to manipulate. If you pull too hard, you break it, kaput, right? So on that one, it's got no grommet at the moment. So I'm gonna have to strip one of the Toyotas out, replace it with electrical tape and put the Toyota one there, right? What's up, mate? What's up? The suspension system. Now, because of the architecture or how I designed it with the guys, I was never going to be over the factory GVM, which meant that I didn't need to do any of the suspension rework or the GVM upgrades. But one thing I did not want to have was the diff correction. I did a lot of research and what have you and so forth. And I soon discovered that the name that does this is the JMacX system, where they offer you a diff correction at the back. So I marinated on that as well. And then when I went to go pick up this car with a Headspace camper on it, Ollie's Troopy came in. He had like a 4-inch lift or something. I go, whoa, look at underneath. Wow, it looks so cool. It's a GVM upgrade. Do I need that GVM upgrade? Probably not. But hey, it looked cool. I want my vanities. Oh, because this is my car. This is an expression of me. And to have the extra GVM consideration done on it, it just means that later on, when I do decide the actual hard bolt-on equipment, I got that much more freedom to work with. Whereas prior to that, you have to decide then and there, if I was to ever change that, I'm gonna have to strip all of that, change the underbody. You see, you're sort of playing catch up by then, right? And I was like, well, what about water? What about, 12-volt batteries? I'm not an electrician. I don't know what the difference between a 12-volt and a 24-volt. I don't know what an amp is to the wattage. And that's a bit of a segue or teaser for what I'm going to tell you a bit later on. I look at all these people's cars and they've got these beautiful panels with all this wiring and it's work of art. And I was like, okay, well, what if something goes wrong? What are you going to do? No idea. It's all wired in. Is that a good thing? I don't think so. I think at least you want to go into it with a bit of time to allow yourself to get accustomed to what it is you have. Then this is where you get into all the gear, no idea. I pulled the trigger on the GVM. It's going to be a 3,900 kilos because I never envisage myself going more than that. And the people who are going to be doing it for me is TJM Northern Beaches, because I spoke to Jason there. He's just a lovely guy. And by the way, every person in this industry I've spoken to, they're all being super friendly. And you can feel the passion when they talk. Shout out to Rowan over at Department of Interior. Just walked up the warehouse and then he was showing me his rig and telling me this and giving me advice there. There's so much passion. I wish this passion existed in my industry, which is shipping. Got some cool alloy wheels because it's a post-rego. I can't get the 3-4 inches. You can only get a 2-inch lift. In that case, that means that my tire size will be 33 inch. And I want to tell you which alloy I've gone with at this stage because I'd rather do a reveal so you can see how cool it's, it's not the usual suspect brand, let's call it that. What was the other thing I wanted to have? Water, okay. Do I really want to have a hot shower? Some of you will be sort of listening to this rock shock horror now. Oh, no hot shower. What if we're going to snow? It's going to cold. I agree with you, man. But I've also been taking cold showers for the last 2 years. And to be honest, when you're on limited water supply, having a hot shower probably is a bit, you're going to want to stay there a bit longer. Whereas if it's cold, you do your business, clean your parts, off you go. There's another Australian company called On Tap Products that has these jerry cans with a shower head, 22 litres in a tank. You know what? I'll buy 2. One for the missus, one for me. We've got 44 litres for a weekend trip. Batteries, power. What are you going to do with power? Well, I'm going to do a couple of episodes with Blueetti. And Lachlan at Blueetti, who's the sales director here in Sydney, Australia for Blueetti. I met him at the Sydney Build Construction Trade Show. We were there exhibiting, selling our freight services to the construction industry, which we represent a lot. And he was there basically promoting his portable battery. Lachlan and I clicked immediately and he was passionate about it. He goes, oh, these batteries today, in 2025, they do so much more. 3 years ago, you had to take 6 hours to charge it up, but now they get charged pretty much within an hour. And I said, well, let's do an episode. The difference between a 12-volt traditional 12-volt setup with all the bells and whistles versus what a portable power station is. What is going to suit me better? right? Allow me to make that educated, informed decision, right? Because for me, 100% I know that this portable power station is catching up, if not already caught up, as a valid alternative. Watch that. I'm sure a lot of you will be interested, both newcomers and existing players in this game, okay? And then you say, well, but it's just gonna be so messy. Okay, well, Frontrunner does these beautiful plastic boxes that's sturdy black, so I bought a handful of those. But there's something recently came on the market by Tough Build. Rigid, stackable, beautiful surfaces, got these beautiful gratings on the corners where you can tie things to. Before, they were like this sort of clamshell opening. Now they've got the drawers. It just recently launched, I believe. So I bought a couple to test. I'm definitely gonna get an ARB bar. ARB stands for Australian Rule Bars. And let's face it, you buy a bar to protect yourself against Australian kangaroos and wildlife. But I don't know whether to get the new Summit or the Deluxe bar. So if you are watching this, leave your comment and tell me which one would you choose. So there's no bash plates here. I definitely will get the Radiator box protection plate, maybe from Superior Engineering. So again, guys, if you're very knowledgeable in this area, can you let me know which one of the underbody protection is the must? I will put in an order for the Headspace Campers roof rack system that they've collaborated with Explore Oz. Ollie's got a video on this particular roof rack system, which is color-coded to the sandy top, and the bars go along these two pieces of metal extrusion. Looks super sleek. I am gonna change some of these windows. I'm gonna get molly plates. There will be gold wings on here. On the back, because of the storage case, I'm trying to get them from Mission 4x4. Sean at Mission 4x4, this is apparently what everyone's using with the storage box, and they look cool as well. On the front, I was gonna go Mission 4x4, but I've decided to go with Explore Glazing over in Netherlands. Yes, I know I'm breaking from tradition. I said Australian made. I am supporting Mission 4x4 already, okay? But Explore Glazing, they've got this really new system out where it's a gull wing, and inside the gull wing, there's a sliding miniature window. And I just thought, oh, you're killing two birds with one stone. Molly panel on the insides, on this side, so I can put different things, fire extinguishers, you know, shovels or whatever. Got the awning here from Rugged 4x4. It's only because I saw them on YouTube and the guy was super proud because he said it had a semi-automatic, and I opened it up and I pulled it around. Yeah, it's got this sort of spring slash system where it just flicks out without you needing to drag it. My girlfriend and I, we spent so long putting it on together. Sorry, Jess, if you're watching this. So that's a 2.5 meter, and I think it's just about right. I wouldn't want any longer than this. Oh, by the way, I think I'm gonna get a fat bar because Rowan from Department Interior, he's got fat bar on it that looks really, really cool. That's my journey thus far. As you can see, it's changed a hell of a lot to when I initially got this car, where I thought, you know what, give it to the maestro, Andrew St. Pierre White. They know their electrics, they know all that. Looks all sound fantastic. And I'm sure it is still a fantastic product, but it's not based on my own experience, is it now? If it's a smaller chunk of change, sure, give it a go, you know? But when it's that sizable, you sort of go, okay, well, let me do it this way. I get to learn more, I get to understand more about my vehicle, and I want to be that guy with some of the gear and maybe some idea versus all the gear and no idea. And on that bombshell, guys, thank you so much.